You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Welcome to Mid-Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I am your host, your buddy, your pal, your friend in warmth and staying warm. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday morning so far. We're really happy that you're here today. Very happy to be sharing time with us and very much look forward to our show today. We have a lot coming up this morning for you. But first, I want to kick it over to the man behind the boards, the guys on the ones and twos, Mr. Calvin Butenhaus. Calvin, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, I'm bracing for the weather that's around the corner this afternoon and tomorrow and Friday. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about that too in a moment, but we have a very, very exciting show for you today. At 9:30, we'll be speaking to Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center, discussing the steps of a student nearing towards graduation. You know, they've got their major, they're going to be getting their degree. What are the steps in finding that job, putting themselves out in the world? It's a very, very difficult job market right now. I am not envious of anybody who has to put out applications at this point. But Michelle's going to talk about that. And I know that a lot of people who may be listening to this show are not, you know, of college age. And if you are, great, welcome. We're happy that you are here today. But I also want, if there are parents out there listening, because I think that what's very important is that conversation that you may have with your child about where they're going to take their next steps, about finding that job, finding a career to take them in the next few years of their life. Because I'll discuss more about that with Michelle, because I had that same conversation with a friend of mine who is facing some difficulties with their young one. So this isn't just a conversation for students. This is a conversation for parents, for teachers, for all sorts of individuals. So Michelle Jackson will be here after the 9:30 news. And then in the second hour, very much looking forward to this discussion, I will be speaking to C.T. Wynn, who is a philosophy professor and the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. It is a book that is on its the title alone can sound like a self-help book, but I appreciate that, because when you dig into what he talks about the gamification of life and algorithms and how we see ourselves in the world that is defined by metrics and by algorithms. And we'll be talking to him more about the book and his work in the 10 o'clock hour. 10:30 brings us Audio Sorbet. We're going to be talking about life changes. Have you made a career change? Are you making a career change? Do you want to make one? And also, as far as like, what do you do for, you know, we're going to be talking about playing games with Professor Wynn. And that is something I want to talk to you about as well, is like, what are the games that you play in your life that bring you joy, and how do you approach the games? And is it, you know, are you a board game person? Are you a video game person? We'll be talking more about that in the coming hour. But we got a lot going on, and Calvin brought it up just now. According to WPR, the weather experts warn Wisconsinites to prep for the cold this weekend. It has been cold all week, and right now in the mid-mornings on Civic Media, weather balloon is currently 22 degrees, which is actually a balmy 22 degrees here in Radio Park in Racine, and we will be getting much worse. It is going to be freezing cold weather. It's going to be below zero much across Wisconsin. We're going to be seeing wind chills that are going to plummet into the double digits below zero. And I'm just saying that now because I want everyone to prepare themselves. Make sure you get them hats, them gloves, scarves, jackets, wear some long johns. Do what you can do to stay warm, because I know we're Wisconsinites. I know we're built Midwest tough, but there is nothing to be said about not being safe here. We want to be safe. We want to be secure, and we want to keep warm. Just take care of yourselves. Beware. And also check out the weather on your app of choice right here on Civic Media. We got the weather reports all the time. But yeah, we just want to put that out there and say, keep safe, keep warm. So that was just my little, we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, tomorrow, because tomorrow that is when it's supposed to hit into the evening time and throughout the full weekend, but we want you to stay warm. Really quick too, another announcement. We didn't talk about this yesterday, but we're going to talk about it right now. Tonight
is the Main Street Governor's Candidate Forum in Milwaukee. This is going to be presented by Main Street Alliance. The Democratic candidates for Wisconsin governor will gather in Milwaukee tonight for the first gubernatorial candidate forum of the 2026 race. Remember, folks, this is an election year, and we are voting for governor this year. So the forum is being hosted by Main Street Action. I'm sorry, I said Alliance. I meant to say Action. My apologies. Main Street Action at the Cooperage in Milwaukee from 6 p.m. tonight until 7:30. And 7 candidates are scheduled to participate. State Representative Francesca Hong, State Senator Kelda Roys, former WEDC Director Missy Hughes, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, former DOA Secretary Joel Brennan, and former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. This is all going off tonight, and it will be moderated by Civic Media's very own founder of the Recombobulation Area, our political editor, Mr. Dan Schaefer, will be the moderator of this, and we will have exclusive live stream coverage on our website. So you go to Civic Media's YouTube channel and you can watch the forum happening right there. So you go to Civic Media on YouTube, watch the forum happen. That's going to be all going down tonight, 6 p.m. If you want to be there, it'll be up the Cooperage from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., presented by Main Street Action, moderated by Dan Schaefer, brought to you by Civic Media. So be a part of the process. It all starts right now. We're in election season, everyone. Take a deep breath. Breathe out. We're going to do this together. We'll talk about it together. We'll be informed together, and we will hopefully, Calvin, make good choices. I see Cindy on the live stream. on the text line right now. Cindy is calling in right now. Cindy, what's going on?
Hello, it's Hump Day today, and I thought, oh, great, it's Hump Day. And then I heard the news this morning, and I thought, oh, no, it's Rump Day because our moron who is not in charge is in Sweden making an ass out of himself.
Well, okay, all right, Cindy. Okay, Cindy, coming in really hot right now. We just kicked off. Yes, he is currently speaking at the Davos. Is at the Davos convention, and I saw a little bit of it during my prep, and he was very much talking, and I wasn't able to catch all of it. Are there any highlights, Cindy, that you saw that were something that caught your eye?
I cannot watch that man. I just cannot look at him. But no, I'm sure he's over there embarrassing us to no end, like he's been doing with everything else. But yeah, it's so pathetic. I just don't understand it.
Well, that's why. I mean, I know it's going to sound very simple and very plain and very. I'm not saying it's an election year. This is the year where we're going to be choosing new leaders, and he's not running right now. Well, he can't. Well, by all means, he can't run again, but that's a different conversation. But that brings me right back to the topic of the election. We have individuals who are running for office. We have individuals who are running for re-election. And this is the time, especially in the state, our state elections, state senators, our representatives, the governor, county board, judges races, city council, town council, you name it. But those local direct races are the things that directly affect us as well. And I understand Cindy's frustration. I watched a little bit of it. It's on mute right now, and it completely on brand for what he does when he speaks into microphones. But that only makes me feel more fervent about the fact that we need to have these conversations that we will be talking about throughout the year with candidates, with people who are looking to hold on to their seats, get rehired. So that's where I say, if you see that kind of stuff on TV, just let that absolutely strengthen your resolve to not only go out there and vote, but also talk to your friends and family about who you think are the best representatives for your communities. If you want to find out more, you go to myvote.wi.gov, put in your information. You can find out more about who represents you. You can find out more about your ballot when they become available. We do have a primary next month, February 17th. That will be for the April election. Not everyone will have a primary if you don't have to have a primary, but just be on the lookout for that because you want to cast your ballot when you can and let your voice be heard. And I just, I get that frustration. I get that anger. I get that. On a world stage like Davos, I get that embarrassment too if you feel that. It's understood. But let that then strengthen your ability to go out there and talk to people and have what can be really tough conversations. And, find out who may not think the way you believe. I had a really great talk this weekend with my friend's dad. My friend's dad, by all accounts, if you look at him, you are going to probably try to assume you know what he thinks, who he votes for, what he does with his life. And I can tell you so many ways that those assumptions would be wrong with him. And so I guess in the long run, now is the time to have those conversations, because I think you might be surprised by what people will tell you, because we're living in a country where the economy is rough, prices are going up, it's harder to afford things. Talking about school, talking about healthcare, talking about childcare, talking about, affording a home. A lot of young people wanting to buy a house, they might not be able to. They feel discouraged. Those viewpoints, those opinions and values are shared by a lot of people. And I feel like it's not the time to dismiss individuals based on what they look like or what you think they may vote just because, they have a big burly mustache and they like to shoot guns. They must like this guy. That might not be the case. That's what I found out this weekend, at least. So again, we're talking about being open to the conversations that influence the voting, influence the way our elections are held, and influence the way our community is run by the proper leaders who should be there doing the job we send them to do. But speaking of our leaders, we'll talk about this for a little bit and we'll come back with it as well. In WPR today, Daniel Kading has the byline. This title is Microsoft wants to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant. The data centers are part of plans to build 2 more data centers campuses in Mount Pleasant. Basically, for $13 billion, Microsoft is looking to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant as part of the 2 new campuses worth, as we said, $13 billion. This came through in the Biz Times, and Microsoft's spokesperson said they confirmed the proposed expansion on land they purchased in 2024. As we know, that news came down last year. Very, very big news for Tony Evers, for Wisconsin. And it has a lot of people concerned. I would say 2025 was the year that data centers as a talking point, as a subject matter, really exploded here in Wisconsin, seeing places like Caledonia voting down a data center, seeing Port Washington being too late, the people realizing what was going on and then attending a meeting and it already passed. And when we come back, I want to talk more about a piece of legislation out of the Wisconsin Assembly that seeks to regulate data centers from the GOP. And some people aren't happy about it, and it's not who you think it is. So talk more about that when we come back. And then, of course, after the 9:30 news, we're talking to Michelle Jackson from the UW Career Center, and we're talking about applying for those jobs after graduation. But don't go anywhere. We still have lots more coming up. Happy you're here this morning. Hope you're staying warm. You're listening to Mid-Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Be part of the conversation. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. Stay tuned and stay close.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Mid-Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. I'm your host, your buddy, your pal, your friend in all things, and especially you. I hope you're having a good morning. I'm happy you're here today. Happy that you're sharing time with us. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can do that by calling or texting. The number is the same. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. As a reminder, tonight, if you cannot be there, you can live stream it on our YouTube page, Civic Media's YouTube page. It is the Main Street Action, or the Main Street Governor Candidate Forum, presented by Main Street Action, moderated by Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's very own Dan Schaefer. It will be a sit-down forum with 7 candidates from the 7 candidates on the Democrat side for Wisconsin's governor's race this year. It's going to be taking place from 6 to 7:30. It's going to be at the Cooperage in Milwaukee. If you can't be there, as I said, you can stream it on our YouTube page. But that all begins at 6 o'clock tonight. And we hope you're there. I mean, we hope you're there, whether you're online or you were in person. But this is the start of the conversation. We are in January of 2026, and we have a lot of months to talk about the election. And one of the big topics when it's going to come to the election and when it's going to come to who we're voting for, depending on where we live in this state, is the topic of data centers. And as I just mentioned earlier, there was an announcement from Microsoft that they want to build 15 more data centers in Mount Pleasant as a part of a $13 billion campaign. That was reported by the Biz Times, and reading this here in WPR, Danielle Kading has the byline. On a related note, Anya von Wagendonk from WPR also has a byline. This Wisconsin Assembly advances bill to regulate data centers. We have been talking about this for a little while now, and there is a bill that's going through the Wisconsin State Assembly on the Republican side. It has advanced that would require data centers and not consumers to pay for related improvements to the state power grid, and also using it would ensure that they were using the water properly, using closed loop systems, basically making it that the responsibility is on the side of the data centers and the companies who own the data centers. And what I find interesting is that this bill passed on party lines, but it does not have worldwide acceptance on party lines. So Democrats are not very happy about it because they feel that this is a bill that does not force the companies to use renewable energy sources to power these data centers. And meanwhile, the Republicans also believe that this was put together too hastily and not a very good plan, but it did pass on party lines with only one Republican not voting it. So people don't like it, but they voted for it. I don't really know how to quantify that one. It did have some Democratic support. Jody Emerson, Steve Doyle, both voted for this measure. And Lindy Brill, who's a Republican who has made quite a name for herself last year as a first-time rep in Madison, or working in Madison, she was the lone Republican to vote against it. But it looks like this is going to go through so far. And I guess I want to know your thoughts on this. I mean, it's coming from the GOP side. There is a concern that there was not language in here that was going to create a system where they would have to use renewable energies to do this, that while they have to be mindful of the utility costs and the water usage, they don't have to use things like solar energy fields. And what I think is very funny is that here in the story, this is a quote from Assembly Speaker Robin Vos. It says the GOP bill also says that if data center wishes to rely on renewable energies, the source must be on the property of the data center. And Robin Vos says that is to prevent people who don't want to live across from a solar field paying for somebody else's power needs. Again, Robin Vos, always great when it comes with the quotes, I must say. And Representative Angelito Tenorio, who is a Democrat from West Dallas, says that's the worst part of the bill because it doesn't create a system where they have to use renewable energies. It basically says they can do whatever they want, and it locks them, quote, into dirtier, more expensive fossil fuels. I understand that as a problem, and it's something I wonder if we can go back in the future and change, because I think that is an important part of the conversation. I know that the bill that came from the Democrat side from State Senator Jody Habush-Sinekin did say things that there was renewable energy that must be used, union labor, local labor must be used as well. But that bill did not advance, unfortunately, for the Democrats. But this is what's going through. I know that's a bigger part of the conversation, and I know there are people probably out there saying, no, we need to use renewable energies. I don't disagree with that at all, But right now, the fact that there is some sort of bill in existence that's going to hold these companies responsible for making sure folks like me and you and our neighbors aren't going to have to pay exorbitant energy bills and utility costs because of these data centers, which is going to skyrocket those needs, I think that is a good first step. I'm sorry if that makes you mad, but I think a good first step is better than nothing. And hopefully maybe down the road, there can be something to repair that need, to create a bill that says, nope, these companies now have to use sustainable resources, but also where are we going to be in 5 years with these anyways? Are they going to need something so big? That's another question we're going to constantly be asking is, as data center usage grows and technology advances, will things shrink and will buildings be left dormant because they no longer need them? And then that bigger question is, what do those communities do with those dormant buildings? But again, conversations we are going to continue to have over the coming years regarding this topic. But when we come back after the 9:30 news, we are going to be speaking with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center, talking about what are the kids going to do after graduation, looking for that job, searching for that career. What are the steps? Listen to it. If you have a kid at the same position, you are listening to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay warm. Stay close. Welcome back to Mid Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach, your buddy, your pal, your advocate in your career path. So we're happy you're here this morning. It is a blustery, I would say balmy 22 degrees here at Radio Park in Racine. The mid-morning Civic Media weather balloon that's up in the air says that the wind is currently not hurting our faces, but that doesn't mean anything right now in January. Also, tomorrow it's going to get incredibly cold, so please be aware. Please pack accordingly. Keep yourself safe and warm. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. A healthy reminder for you that tonight is the Main Street Gubernatorial Candidate Forum at the Cooperage. If you can't be there in Milwaukee, you can live stream the event on Civic Media's YouTube page starting at 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. You're going to have 7 candidates from the Democrat side who are running for governor. Main Street Action is putting it on. Dan Schaefer, our very own Dan Schaefer, the founder of the Recombobulation Area, he is going to be the MC and moderator of the event. But be a part of it. Learn what's going on. Find out what these individuals are standing for, and if they are the people that you want to hire for the job when we vote for them come November, because before we know it, boom, elections will be here, and I got to take a healthy breath on that one. Okay. Coming up in the second hour, we are going to be speaking with C.T. Wynn about his book, The Score, How to Stop Playing... Let's say, I want to say this correctly. The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. Talking about that in the second hour. We have Audio Sorbet coming up at 10:35. And then, of course, This Shouldn't Be a Thing. It's going to be a great show, folks, and we're really happy that you're here today. And right now, I want to kick it over to our first guest, talking about a topic I think is very important when it comes to the topic of careers. It's the spring semester in college. Kids are going to be looking to graduate, looking for them jobs, looking for a career path. And we thought, who better to talk about that than Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center. Good morning, Michelle. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing good. Staying warm. We've kicked off classes for the spring, so it's nice to have students back.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, really quick, what does the UW Career Exploration Center do? What is the job? What is your job, and what does the center do for students and maybe their families in this pathway?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased, but we are a very cool career office. Not a lot exists like ours. We are the folks who specialize in exploration. So there is UW-Madison is in the great position to have a career office for every school and college. Mm-hmm. So engineering, career services, nursing, so on and so forth. Our office, the Career Exploration Center, we work with any and every undergraduate student who wants to connect with us, regardless of school, college, or what year they are. And we are the folks who help students kind of figure out the mess of what do I want to do with my life? Mm-hmm. What kind of careers are out there? What does that mean for picking a major and what I'm doing now with my academic work, and kind of trying to make sense of all of those options.
Yeah. And let's start there. How does one person pick a major? You know, that's in and of itself, I feel like you either go into college knowing exactly what you want to do, or you say, I'm going to take some classes and I'll figure it out. But what do you do to help them go along the way of finding out this might be a good strategy for you?
Yeah, and I think you kind of said it right there is what's the right strategy for the right person. So we see students, across the board from, like you mentioned, I'll figure it out as I go, to I already have a really clear idea in mind. And then there's that really healthy middle chunk of students who have one or two or three ideas and kind of need to narrow it down, or know exactly what they want to be and then hit a roadblock and have to make a U-turn and figure something out along the way. So at least with our college students, we kind of talk about it. One, individual interest plans matter for sure, but depending on what speaks to you, we can start in the beginning and look forward. So where are you now? What are you interested in? What sparks your curiosity? Okay, let's check those things out and see what are some common career pathways connected to those things, knowing that nothing is an end-all be-all. Other students really need to flip that script and start at the end and say, where do I think I want to be? Where do I think I want to go? What kind of careers call to me? And work our way backwards to what sort of majors help a student be prepared for or be competitive for that field of interest. And we talk all the time around most of the time, major does not equal career, and most career paths can be obtained with a lot of different academic backgrounds, because the major is really just one piece of that picture.
I think that's an important point of the conversation too, is that almost demystifying of the whole topic. Because if you're brought up in, regular society, you go to school, you pick a major, and if my major is political science, real smart on my end, but you pick a major and then you are to work in that field. But as you just said, that might not be the case. How do you explain that to students and more so maybe even parents that, hey, it's all open here. We're good. Don't worry about this path you've been told you need to take. Let's explore something that might be more applicable for the student so they will be maybe happy in what they do.
Yeah. So many things to say on that one. So let's see, where do we want to start? With influences in our students' lives. And that's a big one. We're a large school. We have students from all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. So there is always a conversation around what's most important to you when thinking about your future. You mentioned happiness. I hope for myself and others to be happy in the work that they do. And for others, that's pretty low on the list. And, something else is a priority. Money is the priority. Job security is the priority. So we do get into, we love those conversations, those around values and what's most important to you. Some of our favorite little tricks and tactics with students, especially to demystify some of this, is when's the last time you pulled up a job description that is for something that you might want to do in 20 years? That sounds great to you. And scroll down to that qualification section and find out, oh yeah, it says this major, that major, this major, or other related field. And that right, that's our opening around, okay, cool. I just have to make a justification for that other related field. And it doesn't have to be only major oriented, right? So skills-based hiring is on the rise. Employers are grappling with this idea that major does not tell the full story. And we need to know what this future candidate brings to the table. What are their experiences? What are their skills? So we spend so much time talking with students about that experience piece. How do you go out and find and get involved with meaningful experiences?
If you're just joining us here on Mid Mornings on Civic Media, we're speaking with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center in Madison. And I think, one of the things that may be very daunting for especially a young person, because you're thinking about people are probably talking to you between the ages of 18 to 22 mainly, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure there are people who are older, and maybe if you have a genius who is younger, but that is the age gap that you're looking at. Someone walking into your office saying, I think I made a mistake. I came here because I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but I want to be a lawyer, or I want to do this. What is the added work you have to do to like calm them and say, it's all right. You're good. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about it first, because there are people out there who, kids, I should say, not just, they're people. Kids are people. But like, I want to make it clear, these are kids who have so much pressure on themselves to go to college, graduate, get a job, have a career, do all the things they're told to do. Mm-hmm. To deviate from what the plan was can be something that is earth-shaking. And how do you, as a career exploration center, deal with that, just the emotion of it all, when they say, I think I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah. Great question. Great question, because it's half the battle. Humans, right? We tend to lean toward the devil we know. So when a student shows up and they're willing to name and say to someone they don't know, I'm a stranger. Oh man, this isn't right. And I think I made a mistake. Yeah. That's a big deal. It's a brave thing to do, and it's a really hard thing to do. We know plenty of humans and students who will just chug along because they feel like they're stuck on that track. So interestingly enough, a lot of the folks in our office have counseling backgrounds. It's not required to do this work, but it's kind of that's what draws us to working with these students, because making these decisions about how you want to show up in the world and what you want your future to look like, they're really big and they are emotional. That's a big part of the data that we're working with. So, just that, we spend some time getting to know their story. How did you land here? How did we get here? You got here for a reason, right? You weren't just grabbing at things randomly. You were here for a reason. So let's unpack that and what's still true and what's not true anymore. What new information have you learned where we're deciding to pivot? And what are the options? Where can we go with that next? So really, validating that the thing they're doing already, admitting that something doesn't feel right and they need to put in the time and energy to find some new doors to open can be game changing and validating around, okay, I'm not the only one here. We're all figuring out life together.
Yeah. Now, the other question I have, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine whose daughter is going to be graduating very soon and has taken some different paths in her time at college, but is still now kind of up against that wall of doesn't know what she wants to do with this degree she will be getting. And luckily, my friend is an incredibly understanding, supportive father, just wants his girl to be happy, and that's all he cares about. She's safe and happy. That's the start.
Yeah.
Are there times where you have to have conversations with parents? And I'm asking this question because we have parents listening right now. And if you are one of those parents who's grappling with this topic as we hit the spring semester, do you have conversations with parents about, hey, your kid wants to change careers, here's what we can do together? Or is that not something you deal with? Or do you at least advise the kid on how to approach their parents?
Yeah, so we don't explicitly carve out space and time to work one-on-one with parents. We talk to them a lot during the summer months when students are coming onto campus for orientation and they're bringing their families, their support network. So that's when we get our chance to connect with parents. And parents will call, or parents will join a Zoom appointment at times. Like, we definitely come up with that. But our main thing is what you said there, is supporting the student, coaching the student, working with the student. Generally, they can anticipate, or they've already heard for years maybe, what mom and dad or grandma or grandpa's concern and question is. And so we can help kind of coach their parents around, here's why I'm tackling this in this way. Here's what my opportunities are. Give them some of that language.
That's excellent. And I think that's important for parents to hear, because it's I do not have children, but I can't imagine what they're going through as far as the college experience into the job market world. Because when I was young, when I was at the college graduating age, it was kind of like that. You need a degree. A master's degree would be very good, but now it feels like the game has completely changed. And I want to talk more about that with you on the other side of the break, which is navigating post-graduation, trying to find the job and making that happiness work for you in your career choices. But we are talking to Michelle Jackson, who's the director of the UW Career Exploration Center here on Mid-Mornings on Civic Media. If you have any questions, let us know. Drop them in the comment section. Drop them on the live stream. Give us a call, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. More to come after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay warm. Stay close.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Welcome back to Mid-Mornings on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal, and your friend in your career path findings. You are here today. We are on the air until 11 a.m. We are happy that you are sharing time with us. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can call or text. The number is the same, whether you do that. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We're currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. Still lots of great shows still ahead for you, including a conversation in the 10 o'clock hour with C.T. Wynn, who is the author of the game, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. Sorry. It's a long morning. The book is called The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game. He'll be here talking about the book and just the overarching ideas in the book and how it is. There's so much happening. It's so wonderful. But we are talking right now with Michelle Jackson, who is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center in Madison. And we're talking about just the pathways for people who want to find their career upon graduation, want to change a career path, what the Career Exploration Center does. And Michelle, you said during the Secret Show on the live stream that you came up through this department. This is a place you've been at for a decade now. Talk more about that for a second, would you?
Yeah, nearly a decade. I don't get full credit yet. My background was in mental health counseling. Mm-hmm. That was always the plan. And I was in that world for a couple of years through a really large behavioral health organization. And honestly really stumbled into career counseling. So in grad school, we had to take a career counseling class. I had an aha moment that really spoke to me. I watched my parents struggle through recessions and career changes and really felt the weight of how that shows up and impacts everyone in a person's orbit. And career is a thing that we're kind of all dealing with all the time, whether or not it's front of mind. And so found my way to this office and have called it home for almost a decade.
And I think that's a very important aspect to bring up too, because you said that your colleagues have career counseling backgrounds, and I say this I promise you I'm not trying to be funny, but there is a mental health aspect to finding a career because, I mean, when I was at college graduating age, that was the early 2000s, and the landscape was never easy. But the things I hear people of all ages saying now is it feels like an impossible task to even begin to formulate resumes, cover letters, all those things to start. So what are the tactics you employ to help kids, young people, students, or maybe older folks who are continuing education take that next step to look for a job? Who helps you in that journey?
Yeah, so especially for college students, my number one thing I can tell any student is use your resources. Mm-hmm. You are probably not paying a small amount to attend a college, a university, an institution of any kind. And of the many things that grants you is access to some really great resources, starting with the humans. Use your academic advisors, your career advisors, your faculty, instructors, all of those adults that kind of swarm around you and you don't really always think about. There's a great book, Designing Your Life, that's really relevant to figuring out career. And one of the things that those authors talk about is radical collaboration, right? Mm-hmm. Figuring out career in life is not meant to be a solo journey. Yeah. Tap into those experiences of everyone around you, and those tools and resources that are at your fingertips and available for you while you're in school. Everything from the internship platforms and the study abroad opportunities and the tools and technology, like free AI platforms, lots of great things.
Well, and that's a great thing you just brought up there. AI. How is AI influenced? How has AI influenced this entire process from your job itself to kids getting out there? Because I know that it's about finding those great keywords on your cover letter or your resume that kicks in and allows you to go to the next level. And how are you navigating that aspect of the world now in finding a career?
Yeah, it shows up everywhere. So I think, happy or not, we should all know that we're not escaping AI. It's in everything. It's in every opportunity out there. For career exploration specifically, there are some really awesome ways to use it, really helpful ways. So, let's say we're talking to a student who is thinking about a certain career path. Let's say, I don't know, something in environmental conservation. We'll just make something up. But they don't have any experience in that world yet. They've had a great summer job as a lifeguard or working at a sandwich shop. Those are great skills. Those are important, but they want to take the next step. Hop into an AI platform and find out, hey, this is the subject matter that I'm interested in. Who are the employers or what organizations exist in the Milwaukee area, if that's home, that do work connected to that? And now I've got an updated real-time list of 20 employers who do work somehow connected. And there's a starting point.
Excellent. I mean, that to me, AI is just, that's where I start to feel like a very old man where I'm like, AI, don't come near me with that robotic chat stuff but it can be, if you use it correctly, or if you use it with the goal of, positive outcomes, it can be utilized well. It can be utilized for good. And I think if that's the case, then that is fantastic. Michelle, I really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning and talking to us, especially as we're moving into that spring semester. And if parents, if you are out there, have a talk with your kids. Talk to them about their plans and make sure that they have the ability to be open and honest with you. And don't be afraid to have what could be, your kid might not want to be a lawyer anymore. They might want to work in environmental conservation. So just be prepared for that. But that's okay. Let them be happy. That's all I'm going to say. But Michelle Jackson is the director of the UW Career Exploration Center. Michelle, again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day and you do stay warm, especially in this upcoming weekend.
Thanks so much.
All right. When we come back, we'll be speaking with C.T. Wynn, who is the author of The Score, How to Stop Playing Somebody Else's Game, on the other side of the break. But don't go anywhere. We got news coming up next, and then more to come on Mid-Mornings on Civic Media here on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Stay tuned, stay informed, stay close.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.